Talk of the Trollway spotlights Mount Horeb, Wisconsin's dynamic world of art, entertainment, hobbies, and travel. Funding for Talk of the Trollway is provided by Miller & Sons Supermarket.
When Paul Rux looks to the future, he isn't peering into a crystal ball or speeding across a parking lot at 88 miles an hour like in the movies. He is tapping into his network of professional contacts, reading the newspaper, and simply paying attention to the trends taking place in the world around him. On this episode of Talk of the Trollway, Paul talks about the value of futuring, discusses misconceptions about his work, and examines the trends he sees influencing the future of Mount Horeb. I'm your host, Gary Schutz.
Well, my easiest way to explain futuring is the classic Wayne Gretzky story. They asked him why he was such a great hockey player, and he said, "I always skate to where the puck is going." And a futurist is a person who takes time to calculate, not predict, but to calculate the probabilities and possibilities of where your personal puck is going, your personal future, or your professional puck is going, your professional future. And basically a futurist is a person who pays attention to trends and information and then weighs the probable impact of these trends and this information on the future. And it's not crystal ball work, it's basically paying attention to information and then stepping back and reflecting on that information and what it implies for the future. Population trends are really crucial, more than people realize. We are looking at a future demographically in which, for the first time in history, in many countries, there's going to be more old people than young people. Here in America, we are not replacing ourselves. The birth rate among native born American women is going down. And so the result is we're going to look to Mexico more and more to provide the workforce through immigration that the demographics here are not creating. Russia is in a negative population growth. The only country in Europe, by the way, that is in a positive uptick in population is Poland. Germany and France, these other countries, because of technology, women going to work. The most important status factor in the future will be the role of women, the status of women. In Brazil, for example, women are going into the workforce. This is changing the whole society, who buys what. The old Latino macho tradition is being undermined because women are emerging in different parts of the societies. I get the Madison newspaper every morning and I look in there and I'm always looking at what kinds of stories are in there. And what hits you in the face is the increase in crime. That Madison is basically on an upswing in terms of crime, and unfortunately violent crime. In futuring, we talk about the fight or flight reaction. It's like a dog. If a dog sees danger, perceives danger, what does it do? It can fight or it can get out of the way. So what we want to do is help people to become aware of when it is reasonable to engage with future trends or trends that are emerging that could be profitable, or to get out of the way. It may be time for you to move out of Madison to a safer place. How many people may want to live in Mount Horeb because it's safer here than in Madison? How many people would want to live in Verona because it's safer there than in Madison?
Sure.
Or Dodgeville? If we are paying attention to this information and reflecting on what it implies, possible or probable for the future, then we can better position ourselves to take advantage of the trend or to get out of the way. And then we talk about trends and technologies. What does it mean when we have new technologies? The internet, of course, comes to mind. The internet has changed very radically how we live and will continue to change it.
Sure.
And so what does that technology mean? In my case, I come out of education, and I started out as a junior, senior high school history and English teacher, then migrated to library work. And then from libraries, I realized that I was actually in management. So then I moved on and studied management, and actually became, from my work in library, a technology planner. As libraries moved into the information age, computers, I came into the profession at that time when that trend was emerging. So I made that my own. Right now, my line of work is I teach over the internet when I'm not doing projects. And I just finished a course on ethics with doctoral students from Concordia University in Portland, Oregon. Here I'm in Mount Horeb, but the students are all over the place. The most important information, this is what I teach in Futuring, and I drill this into my students, really important information is not in the newspapers, it's not on radio or television, it's secret.
Right.
It's private insider information. And what I tell them is, what you need to do is identify the networks that have these information loops and find your way into them, because the people on the inside are going to be able to tell you what's coming up, who's leaving, who's getting hired, who's getting fired, and you need to be networked in the fields that you're in. And then, as they say in the mafia, keep your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut, and you'll learn a whole lot of stuff. Now, let me give you an example. I was at the World Future Society conference in Toronto 2012, and there's a fellow behind me. He said, I'm at the U.S. Naval War College. And I said to him, well, if I may ask, without violating any of the secrecy laws and that, what are you working on? He said, well, we have the military of Mexico up here right now. We are looking at how we are going to respond to the drug cartels, and the government of Mexico is forced for its own survival to fight back against the drug cartels. What he's telling me is we're getting ready to go to war in Mexico. They are thinking and planning about that right now. That's insider information. That's not going to, you're not going to find that in a newspaper. I was talking to Tony Evers recently at a private network reception for his
state superintendent.
Yeah, state superintendent of schools. And his supporters, I'm a supporter of Tony. He got his PhD at Madison, in the same department where I got mine. It's the old school tie, you know,
Sure.
We hang together, network, right?
There you go.
And so I said to him, I said, you know, as you get ready for your next campaign, I said, the most important issue I think you should be talking about is safety. School safety. People are scared to death that when their kids go to school, they're going to get shot, stabbed, beaten, or drugs or whatever. But safety should be one of your campaign themes. We are going to make sure that we do everything we can to make your child safe going to, from, in school? And he says to me, yeah, he says, you know, you're right, Paul. He said, our market research is showing that safety is the #1 issue. I said, well, then, yeah, run with it. But that's an example of talking to somebody who can make a difference. He can put that in the public square. Now, I've worked in Milwaukee with the parental voucher schools. They don't want their kids walking to and from school. They're scared to death. They have to pick them up at the door with a van, right at the door, because of the crime, the safety. We take for granted many of the things we have here. We shouldn't. We should pay attention to what's working here that is going to be attractive in the future, and safety is one of them. Our small towns are desirable because they're safe, they're cost effective, they're beautiful in my opinion. I grew up in Portage, and the future for, if we pay attention here, is good. We are sitting right on the economy of the future, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else at this point in my life. Last week I had a chance to visit with Steve Grundle at Midwest Printing, the new 3D printing company to our west, right in Blue Mountains. One of the most advanced industries in the whole world, which according to the analysts in the futuring industry say is going to grow at the rate of 25% a year for the next 5 years. It is just starting. And we've got a 3D printing company out here that can't keep up with the orders. There's so many orders coming in, Steve can't keep up with it. So he says, what am I going to do? He says, I got to train more people, and these people don't want to train them for me.
These people, you mean like a university or technical?
Yeah, they go over here to Madison College. He's begging them, they're supposedly in the business of economic development. What are you talking about? We have time for that 3D, that movies with special glasses. And so, knowing that my background's in education, he said, well, maybe there's a way you can help me put together some training, because he said, I could double my workforce right now with the orders I have. I could double it. I said to Steve, this is going to be epic part 2 out here. The potential for the growth that he has there, and the income that that's going to bring, and it's going to transform Blue Mountains. And I have 2 grandchildren in Blue Mountains, and I'm telling them, don't be too quick to move out of Blue Mountains. This is going to be the next, boom town. And this is good because it's the right industry of the future. We're talking about not Rust Belt mass production, which is done. We're talking about high customization, which is just emerging. And the good news for Mount Horeb is we're sitting between Epic and we're sitting between 3D printing and other companies that probably will follow. So I tell my wife we're living in the right place, we're living in the future already, and when the university puts in Research Park 2 at Junction Road, those people are going to migrate this way. And if we're smart and paying attention, we're going to be able to attract these people. Right behind me, where I live on Lake Street, there's one young man behind our house, and the house behind us, he's a project manager for Epic. Right next to him is a software engineer for Epic. These people are here, they're bringing money, they're buying real estate, their kids are growing up here. Why? Because we're safe. Why? Because we're Norman Rockwell's America. Keep it that way. One of the things that I really want is for people to learn about the techniques of futuring. What's the future of local government? What's the future of education? I want to have people learn how to do this. A good way to illustrate possible, probable, and plausible is this way. Is it possible for me to win the lottery? Yes. Is it probable? No. So the plausibility, what action do I take? Well, I'm going to buy a cup of coffee at Quick Trip rather than, than a lottery ticket, because at least I'm going to get something out of it. Now the high end of the economy, the people who can afford this deep pockets, they're into this already. What I want is for the people in the middle and farther down to also have the advantage of these tools and techniques, so they have a fair chance of figuring out what am I going to do, what are we going to do. You know, there's a futuring center in Maryland, Hawaii, and Houston. I would like Wisconsin to be the north and center, Midwest center for this kind of study.
Next time on Talk of the Trollway, we'll chat with Greg Dennis, who believes anyone can sing. And he's got the resume to prove it. I'm your host, Gary Schutz.
Talk of the Trollway is a production of Mount Horeb Village Cable. Funding for Talk of the Trollway is provided by Miller & Sons Supermarket. Talk of the Trollway is on Facebook, where your comments and story ideas are welcome.